Jesse caught a glint of moonlight off chrome ahead, found the Belsnickles waiting for him and Isabel near the rear of his truck, alert and scanning the rocks and trees. The Shawnee had all their spears and knives at the ready. Jesse had kept up better this time, the burden of Krampus slowing them all down. He fell against the side of the truck, gasping, trying to suck in enough oxygen to keep from fainting. He was spent, exhausted, covered in mud from a nasty fall, and desperately wanting a smoke. Jesse saw Krampus in the back of the camper. He lay, wrapped in the blanket, curled up around the velvet sack, huddled in a fetal position, once again looking dead to the world. Vernon came around the truck, carrying the old shotgun. "Hurry," he said, pointing upward. They're leading them right to us." Jesse searched the sky, saw no sign of the ravens, but heard them cawing from somewhere high up above. From high above. Oh my gosh. Jesse searched the night sky, saw no sign of the ravens, but heard them cawing from somewhere high above. I don't know why I add words sometimes. Vernon came around the truck. Oh my gosh, I'm backing up. Jesse searched the night sky, saw no sign of the ravens, but heard them cawing from somewhere high above. Isabel tossed Jesse the keys, and they climbed into the cab while the rest of them piled into the camper. The truck started on the second try, and they were on their way, bounding back down the mountain. Jesse rode the gears to avoid burning out his brakes. The gas gauge flickered on and off, and he bit his lip, trying not to think about what would happen if they ran out of gas now. He kept his eyes on the ruts, straining to see, by the remaining headlight, what lay ahead, expecting to find the huge beast awaiting them around each and every turn. None of them spoke, all searching the surrounding trees, all too aware they'd taken too long. There was no way they'd reach the highway before the wolves caught up with them. As they neared the bottom of the mountain, the road began to level out, to widen a bit, and the going became smoother, faster. It was here that Jesse allowed himself to hope that maybe, just this once, God would cut him a break, allow them to reach the highway before the wolves found them. And of course, as the joke always seemed to be on him, this was exactly when the wolves appeared. "They're here, I feel them," Isabel said, her eyes wide. A second later, they cleared a bend, and there they stood, blocking the road, not 100 yards down the trail, big as horses, heads hung low, eyes glinting in the glow of the headlight. Jesse hit the brakes and slid to a stop. "Turn around," Vernon cried. "Go back." There is no going back, Jesse thought. No other way out. Even if there was, there'd be no turning around, not in this narrow lane. The two wolves started forward at a stiff-legged trot. "Oh dear God," Vernon said. "We're going to be eaten alive." "No," Jesse said under his breath. "Not me. Got too much business need taken care of." And he snatched the seatbelt. Drew it across his chest, and clicked it into place. Isabel glanced at him. "What are you doing?" "Gonna go see Abigail." He stomped on the gas. The truck jumped forward. Isabel braced herself against the dashboard as the truck picked up speed. "You're gonna get us killed." "Most likely." The speedometer climbed from 10 to 20 to 30, but that was all Jesse could handle on the narrow, rocky road without careening into a tree or down the steep ravine on their right. The wolves broke into a run, coming at them head-on. Jesse knew the chances of walking away from a head-on collision with such beasts were slim to none. Jesse hoped these monsters understood that as well. In the camper, Vernon and the Shawnee did their best to hang on, to keep Krampus from injury as the old truck jostled them about. Vernon screamed at Jesse to stop, but Jesse didn't. He drove headlong toward the wolves, fighting to keep the truck on the path. At the last possible instant, the wolves leapt from the road and up the embankment. Jesse lost sight of them as he struggled to make the curve, his right side tires jouncing along and crumbling Jouncing along the crumbling lip of the ravine. The truck tilted dangerously toward the ledge. Jesse thought they were goners, when the old Ford managed to regain traction and hold the road. He no sooner had all four wheels on level ground when a crash and a tremendous jolt rocked the truck. The back roof of the camper caved in, and one of the wolves tore through the thin aluminum with its front paws. The weight of the beast bottomed out the rear shocks, and the tail end thumped against the deep ruts, slowing the pickup considerably. The wolf hung on, snarling and snapping with its enormous jaws, trying to get to Krampus under the sack. Makwa kicked one of the garbage bags of video games into its face. It chomped onto the bag, slinging it back and forth, tearing it apart, sending game consoles bouncing down the trail. Vernon swung the shotgun around at the beast. The truck hit a rut. The gun bounced upward, going off with a loud blast, completely missing the wolf and blowing a hole through the top of the camper. The tailgate snapped beneath the weight of the wolf, and the beast fell away, tumbling down the road. The second wolf, the larger one, leapt over its mate and charged after them, quickly overtaking them. "Oh, Christ," Jesse cried. There was no place to go. It had them. But the Shawnee were prepared this time. All three held their spears ready. When the wolf leapt for the truck, they threw their weight behind their weapons, driving the spear heads deep into the wolf's chest. There came a horrible yowl, followed by a jolt as the wolf hit the truck. The wolf made a vain effort to scramble up into the truck bed, then collapsed, fell back onto the road, tumbled toward the ravine, and disappeared over the ledge. Jesse heard the splintered branches, another yowl, and that was all. The pickup hit a steep grade. Jesse tapped the brakes, trying to keep control as the truck fishtailed back and forth. The left side tires caught the ditch, causing the side of the truck to rake along the embankment. The truck came to a grinding halt and stalled. The smaller wolf trotted into view about 50 yards back up the bend, but it wasn't looking at them. It peered over the ledge where its mate had fallen. It took one glance at them, then left the road, heading down into the ravine. "What's it doing?" Isabel asked. Jesse had no idea, but as long as it wasn't coming after them, he didn't care. "What are you waiting for? Whatever are you waiting for?" Vernon cried. "Go!" Jesse twisted the key, the engine turned over, and the truck started up. Jesse eased on the gas, and the pickup slowly pulled out of the ditch and back onto the road. They reached the highway about 10 minutes later and heard a long howl coming from the hills behind them. Jesse pulled out onto the asphalt and sped away, heading south, heading away from the Santa Man and his monsters.